Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, it's DMG and welcome back to Blitz, and today I'm going to be having a back to basics video for you on the map Port Bay. So now Port Bay is one of those maps where it is similar to Fort Despair and Middleburg in that there is a town side and a not town side. So I think we already know the answer of what we're going to want to do here. So not town, right? This is where you want to go. You want to go to the C cap always if it is supremacy. Now, a bit of word, I think the first important thing that people need to realize about Port Bay is that when you go to the not town side or the not port side, would that be called the starboard side? I don't know. I guess my awful jokes aside, if you want to play this area, if you are in a medium tank, do not go to the C cap. I'm sick and tired of mediums and lights going to the C cap just because it's supremacy. I don't care what you're doing, you are going to this corner. The only thing that matters about this map is this corner right here. If this corner is lost and you are on the side, you have lost. There is such a high chance of you losing the game unless you can quickly adjust to the situation. However, what happens is that people get dug in around C and like around these trenches here and below, right? So once they're down there, it's really hard to get away from the people sitting in the corner. But I just cannot stress enough about how important this corner is, right? If you are in a light tank, this is where you want to be, right? It is not about driving from your spawn up to the enemy's sniper perch looking at B. It is not about capping C. It is about getting to the corner. And I'll show you what I mean, right? Because let's say I started on the spawn that I originally came into the game from, and I'm driving across. You are not supposed to cap C, because if you cap C, guess what happens? You're going to get lit up by the people at in the corner area. Now, let's keep in mind something that I've been stressing to you guys for the past few weeks now. Do you want to engage hull-down tanks? No. You do not want to fight hull-down tanks. So why would you try and cap the base and let them go hull-down and shoot you? Because once they're there, there's no way you're capping C reliably. Or let's say you want to go over here and spot, right? Because what happens? Because if this is encounter, this isn't that bad of a spot, right? But or regardless of whether it's encounter or supremacy, this is not a bad spot. But this is not your role in a medium tank. This is not your role in a light tank. Your role is to win that corner. The only thing that matters, again, is this corner. The corner is so important. I'm going to show you how to work this corner. Now, there's a few different ways you can get to it. I see a lot of people try and go up and over this ridge thing right here. I don't really think that this is a good idea. Yes, it provides a stable fallback position here and allows you to fire across at people, but then again, you're poking your side and your drive wheel out to the people who are sitting like right behind that little ridge right there that I'm looking at, and they are liable to shoot you. Even if you pull back, you're showing your side under the bridge, so it's not all that workable unless you have a low profile tank with gun depression. That would probably be like the Centurion 7-1, Type 59, or something to that like, right? But a lot of people will try and go up here and spot first to be a little safe, right? No, this is not what you want to do if you're trying to take the corner, because one, if they're there and they see you and you get caught up here, you're dead because there's no form of cover near you. You can't run anywhere. If you run forward, yes, there's the corner's over there, but by that time you've lost massive amounts of HP. If you try and go back, right? Sure, you may get to a safe position, but then you're not on a lot of hit points and you're stuck here, right? Because you can't really move anywhere. So this isn't the greatest position, but it does have some use in certain situations. What I recommend is your primary opening move if you are in a light tank or a medium tank is out of spawn, popping that engine boost, and just going right under this bridge immediately. You need to go this way to get to the corner the fastest and remain undetected for the longest amount of time. Now, as you're going up here, and if there's enemy tanks meeting you, you're going to see them like about here. And what you want to do is you want to prep your turret. So this is knowing where you're driving without looking. So when I'm usually driving up here, I'm driving like this with my turret pointed. So when I see them, I fire a shot away. And just because I use, vertical stabilizer, and I would say it comes from a lot of experience of being able to fire on the move, I'm usually able to put one shot across and already set the engagement in my favor. And if so, I'm able to track them as well. It just gives me a few extra seconds to get up here, right? But keep in mind of a few things, right? Consider, a lot of this, I wouldn't say a lot, but a decent amount of it comes from reading an enemy lineup, right? Let's say you're a bottom tier tank and you're the LTTB, and you see a super Pershing on the enemy team. So yeah, I'd assume that super Pershing is going to the corner area. But if he doesn't, more power to you. But if he does, right, still go to the corner area even though you're a bottom tier tank, because one, you have so much more speed than the super Pershing, right? So you want to get here quickly and then just deny the super Pershing any opportunity to get up here. And if he does, he's going to get flogged for his troubles. But this corner is so important. But as I was saying, as you're coming up to the corner, please prep your turret and be ready to fire across at somebody who is also trying to meet you there. This will allow you to at least get some kind of early damage across instead of just focusing on getting here. Because if you can put some early damage into them, every little bit helps when you're up here. Now, tanks of the... Let's say you're both in the same tank, right? Let's say you're both in a Object 140 or a T-62A, and you're both going to the corner, you and an enemy T-62A, that is. You see each other at the right time and you fire, right? No one really wants to push over to the corner completely, so this is the contest area. This right here, this is relative for each spawn, but or respective to each spawn, but this area over here is the safe area for the north spawn, and then kitty corner to it on the mirror side on the north is the safe area over here. And it's pretty much looking through these bushes. And what this does is, because like this raised incline is here, it allows you to protect your side and go haul down. Now, it is a little bit liable if people decide to rush up to the sniper's perch, right, and get shot. But then again, heavy tanks should be pushing over and getting into them quite easily and quickly, which means that they won't live very long. And once they're dealing with multiple angles, that spot isn't even very good. Anyways, going into further things about the map, the port side just is not viable. I mean, people always say, well, if your team is good and can focus. That's what someone said to me a few days ago. They said, I was doing the, what was it? What was the map that I did before this? I don't even remember. But they said, well, town is acceptable if your team can focus fire and coordinate well. I'm thinking, that's asking a little bit too much of your team. So don't even try and tell me that town is a viable option. Now on supremacy, sometimes you have no choice, but I'll get into that later. So, the seaside. If you're in a heavy tank, this is where you want to go. You want to get down in this dip as quick as possible, and of course this is mirrored on the other side. This is accessible for all different kinds of heavy tanks. You can do this in an IS-7, you can do this in an M103, you can do this in an E100. Just almost every single kind of heavy tank. Even in a Conqueror, you can get away with this. But just sitting here, using your turret, playing from your turret, every time they poke their drive wheel, you shoot them. And if they try and come down here, you flog them for their trouble, right? And this area is so important because you're so close to C, right? No one's going to try and cap C easily without you poking, and you're in a nice haul down position. So what this also allows you to do is prevent people from going up here, which means your mediums are safe to fire away at the enemies who are trying to hit you. It creates this nice symbiotic crossfire between the C-cap area and the corner area. That, I mean, it should be so standard for everyone to know. I mean, especially, at tier 5, you really can't be angry, but I'm surprised people don't know that going to the corner is so important at tier 9 and 10, right? You should know by now that going to the corner, if you're in a light or a medium, is just standard. But really, that's all this map is. It's can you take the corner and can you take the C cap area, right? And granted, there are supporting positions, like you could have a tank sitting there, a tank sitting behind that ridge, right? Maybe a tank sitting at that one spot that I was showing over here where I'm pointing right now. But other than that, it's all about controlling these two areas, the C cap area and then the corner area, or at least denying them the corner, right? So if it's a stalemate over there and no one can really take the corner, I mean, just don't let the enemy team get into the corner so they don't annihilate your heavy tanks. But if you're in a heavy tank, right, this is exactly where you want to be. Now, I'd like to add a couple caveats to this. Now, this is the meta 99.99% of the time, right? Always go to, if you don't know, guys, if it isn't so freaking obvious, right? If you do not know, go to the C cap, right? Or just, I don't mean go to the C cap, but play the C side, right? Have your mediums go to the corner, your heavy tanks go to C. If you do not know, that next goes for encounter too. If you do not know, go to the C side. It's always better to play this side. It's just more stable. You can reset B easily. And there's the thing, right? If you cap C quickly, or cap C before they cap B, you can just sit around this area, go decently haul down, and prevent them from getting B. And they have to push you in a haul down position. And you can have tank destroyers sitting up in these perches to help prevent any pushes. Now, the interesting thing about this is that in Supremacy, sometimes you don't have a choice. What if you have 0 mediums or 1 medium, right? And they have 4 or 3 mediums. So then it becomes kind of a different ask. And like me, I'm not always going to assume that all 4 mediums are going to be stupid and go to the C cap. Because while, you know, that's quite common now because people get so enticed by this cap, I would say that there's at least 1 or 2 people that can know what they're doing. And whoever recognizes that this is the most important area first wins the game. So if you don't have any mediums, if you have 0 mediums, that is probably the only time I would recommend going to the town. Or I would say you don't have any fast tanks that can make it to the corner, because consider this. You can take an IS-7, right, that goes 50 kilometers an hour. Just take it, pop that engine boost, and go. You're 50 kilometers an hour up this small incline here, and you're still going quite quickly. And once you're here, you're nigh impenetrable to any mediums trying to push you, which means you can effectively fight this corner here and effectively fight this area here. Now, if you don't have any quick tanks to get over there, please use your better judgment and go to the A-B side, right? Because then it's just getting the caps and then not being dumb. And by not being dumb, I just mean not poking, not chasing them, right? Because if you have both caps, there's no reason to run after them, right? But what I'm trying to say is, if it's so obvious, you know, right? Like, I'm sure that when the opportunity presents itself to go town, you'll recognize it, because it'll be so blatantly or painfully obvious that you will just get nuked and annihilated in the C area. But if there's any doubt or question in your mind that C is playable, right, you should definitely try and play C, or the C side. I don't mean to say play C, but the C side, because keep in mind that the corner, I'm repeating this again, is the most important area of the map. Now, you can sit in the spawn around here, right? A lot of people like to do this. I would not say this back here is not where you want to be if they are at C. By all means, feel free to rotate through back here if they go to AB and then use this as haul down areas. But sitting all the way in the back is not where you want to be. This is the farthest back you want to be on either side, right? Because this allows you to put shots across at the people here that try and push. It allows you to support the people down in this little divot down here. And it gives you some nice staggered lanes of fire. But that is, in essence, this is all, I mean, in essence, that's all you really need to know for Port Bay. I mean, the other side doesn't really exist all that much. And granted, like I said, this is for public games and ratings games rather than the meta for competitive. But competitive, it is very viable to go to the A and B, but then again, like I said, you're having voice communication, you have access to things you would not have in the public meta realm. Now, I will go over a few little things on Port Bay for encounter and supremacy for the town side, just real quickly. I mean, if in the event you do have to fight here, I think you should at least know some important things you could do on that side, but if you take anything away from this video, it's the corner and just playing the seaside in general. Now, there's some interesting things you can do if in the event your team does go down and you're in a tank destroyer. This exists on both sides. There's this right here, just this simple little area. Stay in the back, set your camo net, and I really do recommend you must be running a camo net if you want to sit back here, because there is not a lot of bushes, so running that camo net just gives you that extra little bit of camouflage and allows you to fire unspotted, which is uber important. On this side specifically, this only exists over here. If you want to drive over here and sit around here, this is great for an IS-7 or even an IS-4, right? Sitting around here, it allows you to reset the A-cap like this. If you just want to poke like that and show your turret, reset the A-cap and pull back. This is a great little area. You're very hard to penetrate, and if they want to push you, they're going to get into a very close quarters brawl with you, which when you're in a heavy tank, that's kind of what you want anyway. So that's a great little area. There's not really that much around here. As you can see, there's the side scraping buildings that you can use, but really you can do that with anything, so this isn't all that important. Side scrape off any one of these buildings or crates. The A-cap, pretty open. I mean, if you go here and someone spots you, expect a tank destroyer to knock you one on the head. The B-cap, still pretty open. This is also where the encounter cap is. Guys, do not cap the base and encounter unless the guy is intent on running away for the whole game. That's the only time you should cap on encounter for Port Bay. But otherwise, if you are in a one-on-one situation, do not try and cap this base. You are so exposed from so many different sides. They can come from so many different angles and reset you, or just kill you straight out. And remember, this is such an open area. If you're in a heavy tank that doesn't have a lot of mobility, you are liable to get circled and killed. So keep that in mind as well. Now, the final place I'll show you is the kitty corner tank destroyer spot on the other side. I mean, look at all these buildings, right? You can just side scrape off of any of these if you're in a mouse or an E100 or something like that. But the kitty corner spot to the little perch on the other side is right here. You can go right here. This is best for turreted tank destroyers. As you see, it really helps to have a turret to look at A. If you're in a turretless, you have to come all the way around and come like this, which is a little bit dangerous. But if you're in a Borsig or something like that, fire away, pull back behind cover, and you will never be in any trouble whatsoever. Also, what you can do is, if that's not really your fancy, you can also drive up this way, I believe, and you will get almost the same result. You'll get a slightly different look at the map, but it is almost the same regardless. So if you want to drive all the way up here in your 268, you cannot see the A-cap as well, but it is somewhat nice, because if you get up here, if I can do it correctly, right, like this, you can overlook the C, or the sniper perch here, which people like to poke on. You have clear looks at B. You have shots on people trying to push around here, and you're a little bit farther back, so your camo net is a bit better. But like I said, guys, there's just all these buildings that you can side scrape off of. But between hull down and side scraping, I'll take hull down every single day of the week. Now, hull down is just superior to side scraping. I will reiterate that again for you all. Hull down is better because they only see your turret instead of seeing any possible track weak points or drive wheels, right? Or, I mean, granted, you can see turret weak points in hull down, but you're just a larger profile, and it's much more difficult for you to hold a position side scraping than when you're hull down. So the C side is always the best. Get heavy tanks in this area. Get mediums and lights to the other area. Tank destroyers, I mean, the optimal amount of tank destroyers, if any, on this map are 1. So hopefully you don't get sodden down, or sodden. That's not even a, is that even a word? I mean, laden down with tank destroyers in this area. So I mean, in the event you have a lot of tank destroyers, take your most armored tank destroyers and put them here and have them role play as heavy tanks. But past that, I really wouldn't be all too happy if I had a lot of tank destroyers on Port Bay. But reiterate again, heavy tanks here, lights and mediums to the corner immediately. Like this, there's no exception, right? Lights and mediums to the corner. Do not get enticed by this base. Unless they have all heavy tanks, right, and you know they're going to go A and B and you need to catch C, then by all means, take your lights and mediums into this cap immediately. But if you have any inkling that they are going to the corner or will engage you at this side, please go to the corner. The corner will win you the game. Whoever wins the corner wins the game. Anyways, I hope you liked that content. If you liked it, please give that like button a hit. And if you didn't, please leave your constructive criticism in the comment section. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to share my passion with you today, and I hope to see you next time.